and welcome to this video, which is another rail holiday at St Germans, and there's a train just crossing the viaduct behind me here, and it's a follow-up really to a video that I made 12 months ago when I came to St Germans station and stayed in the Old Luggage van, and I've come back again for another holiday, getting out and about on the railways of Devon and Cornwall, making new videos for my YouTube channel, Stephen Bennett Railways, and also for Facebook. But it's a beautiful summer's evening here. The church bells are sounding in the background here, and I've come down to the waterfront at St Germans, and this magnificent viaduct behind me, this Grade 2 listed structure, which replaced an original wooden bridge that was built by Isambard Kingdom Brunel when the railways first came into Cornwall with the opening of the Royal Albert Bridge in 1859. But some years later, there was a realignment of the railway route between Saltash and St Germans, which required a new bridge. And this structure was built in 1908, and it's 978 feet wide with 17 magnificent arches, and it's 106 feet high. It's a sight to behold. I've come back for another holiday at the rail holiday site in the village of St Germans in southeast Cornwall, and once again I'm staying in the Old Luggage van, which overlooks the platforms at St Germans station on the Cornish mainline. The van is located in its own private garden, and it's really delightful. I've been into trains since I was about 5 years old, so nigh on 60 years ago, and staying here you get a grandstand view of all the trains as they pass by, and for a railway enthusiast it doesn't get much better than this. Passenger luggage van number 1353 went into service in December 1896, having been built for the London and South Western Railway at Eastleigh. It was withdrawn from service in 1932 and was recovered in a derelict condition from a builder's yard at Wadebridge in 1995, and has since been beautifully restored, and it's mounted on a reconstruction of the original chassis. And one of the things I really like is that it's been restored externally to its original colour scheme. Meanwhile, the inside is being converted into a cosy holiday home. It's a really nice view to wake up to in the mornings. The luggage van is compact and it measures 24 feet by 8 feet, but it offers a lot of facilities, including a toilet with a wash basin and a shaver socket, along with a shower room. And this Galley Kitchen with fridge is really impressive, with its own hob and microwave with a convection oven. I really like this lounge diner with its own television, DVD and hi-fi, and these fireside chairs are really comfortable, providing all the comforts of home. And then of course there's a real life train set just outside the window. There are 3 other carriages on site, and at the northern end of the up platform is the travelling post office carriage, which has been the most popular carriage to date. carriage has been beautifully converted and sleeps between 4 and 6 people, and it's been featured on a number of TV programmes, including Great British Railway Journeys with Michael Portillo, and he stayed here overnight. There are 2 other carriages on site, and although they are set away from the railway line, they do offer fabulous views over the surrounding countryside. First up is Meavy, which is a GWR slip coach with its first-class sleeping compartment and bespoke triple bunk beds for children. The carriage is 38 feet long and sleeps up to 5 people, and it has a first-class double bedroom with Italian velvet upholstery, maple and mahogany panelling, and English gold gilding. And there's a second bedroom with bespoke triple bunk beds. Last but not least is Millpool, which has been designed to be accessible to both able-bodied and those with mobility problems. During my stay on site, I was invited into Millpool by the occupants to take a look around, and I was really impressed with all of the facilities inside, which include a wet room with a toilet and shower. The carriage also has its own enclosed patio area with seating and barbecue facilities, and the views from the carriage over the river valley and the fields of the Port Elliot estate are stunning. Having lived away from the West Country for a number of years now, my holidays here in St Germans have given me the opportunity of getting back out onto the railways of Devon and Cornwall, visiting railways that I knew so many years ago and which I feel so passionate about. Come with me on a whistle-stop tour of the railways of Devon and Cornwall, beginning here on the scenic Lou Valley Line. The line runs for just under 9 miles, and the approach here to Lou is breathtaking along the estuary, and this line has always been one of my favourites. I think I would have been around 10 years old when I first travelled this line, and I can remember standing in these very spots watching the little train as it meanders its way along this beautiful branch line. I spent a wonderful 3 days filming along the Tarka line between Exeter and Barnstaple, and the line is named after the otter in Henry Williamson's book, Tarka the Otter, which is set in the area. I stopped off at 12 wonderful country stations between Newton St Sires and Barnstable, including here at Portsmouth Arms. Next up for me was the Atlantic coastline, which runs for 21 miles from Parr on the Cornish mainline up the branch line to Newquay. As well as Newquay, I also stopped off at each of the intermediate stations along the line, including Quintrell Downs, St Cullum Road, Roach, Bugle and Luxullian. Whilst at Luxullian, I also checked out the magnificent Trefny Viaduct, a 19th century architectural wonder with its magnificent views over the Luxullian Valley. The Great Western Main Line through Dawlish and Teignmouth has always been one of my favourites. Last year I filmed the stretch from Dawlish Warren down to Dawlish, but this time around it's the chance to walk the railway from Dawlish to Teignmouth. This stretch of the railway is truly awe-inspiring, and the walk took me over and around each of the 5 tunnels that were skillfully crafted into the rock by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. The train journey to St Ives is one of the most scenic in Britain. The branch line from St Irv to St Ives is just 4¼ miles long, and the journey takes around 10 minutes. It may be short, but it is spectacular, and it's a journey that will live long in the memory. Another railway journey on my radar was the Maritime Line, which runs from the city of Truro through to Falmouth. Like other videos that I've filmed, there was an opportunity to stop off at each of the intermediate stations on this 25-minute journey, including Falmouth Docks, Falmouth Town, Penmere, Penryn and Perranwell. Perhaps the most nostalgic journey for me was the Tamar Valley Line that connects the city of Plymouth with Cowstock and Gunnerslake in the Tamar Valley. It's nigh on 60 years since I first made this journey, and it was my first ever train journey. I think I would have been about 5, maybe 6 years old at the time, and it's where my lifelong love of railways began. Highlight of the journey for me has always been the graceful Edwardian masterpiece, the Cowstock Viaduct that was built in the early years of the 20th century. The viaduct is over 800 feet long and 120 feet high and has 12 60-foot arches, and it's the longest viaduct in Britain to be built of concrete blocks. The Avocet line connects the city of Exeter with Exmouth, and the line hugs the Exe estuary for much of its route, and it offers some excellent views, particularly for those who enjoy birdwatching. The region also has several superb heritage railways. On the outskirts of Plymouth at Marsh Mills is the Plym Valley Railway, which is a 1-mile heritage railway. Based on part of the original South Devon and Tavistock railway line, it closed in 1962. Having visited the most northerly standard gauge heritage railway in the north of Scotland, the Keith and Dufftown Railway, I paid a visit to the most southerly standard gauge heritage railway, the Helston Railway. The original Helston branch line was closed in November 1962, and the Helston Railway Preservation Society was formed back in 2002 with the aim of reopening as much of the original railway as possible. So far, the line extends for just over a mile from Prospidnick to Trufall Holt. These are exciting times at the Helston Railway, and plans are well advanced to extend the railway still further. And I had the opportunity during my visit to walk part of the original track bed beyond Trufall Holt, this being prepared to be reopened. My stay at St Germans also coincided with a steam gala event that was being staged by the Treggle Mill Shopping Centre near Newton Abbot in Devon. One of the highlights of the day was being able to take a ride on this delightful 10.25-inch gauge miniature railway, which runs for just over 2 miles around the site. Another beautiful heritage railway is the South Devon Railway that runs for just over 6.5 miles from Totnes to Buckfastleigh, mostly running alongside the beautiful River Dart. Dartmouth Steam Railway was formerly known as the Paignton and Dartmouth Steam Railway. It runs for just under 7 miles along the former Great Western Railway branch line between Paignton and Kingswear, and there's some spectacular scenery along the South Devon coast through Godrington and here alongside the beautiful River Dart. Ending this whistle-stop tour of the railways of Devon and Cornwall here on the Bodmin and Wenford Heritage Railway. The railway is 6.5 miles long and it runs from Bodmin Parkway station, which is on the Cornish mainline, through to Boscarn Junction via the line's principal station at Bodmin General. I'll be making videos of all of the journeys that I've featured here, and they'll be available to watch on my YouTube channel, Stephen Bennett Railways, and they'll also be available on Facebook, and I'll put some links in the description to this video. My rail holiday in St Germans this year will be my final opportunity of seeing these Castle class HSTs operating along the Cornish main line, as they're due to be withdrawn from service with the introduction of the winter timetable in December 2025. I spent most of my time as a railway enthusiast following the high-speed trains since their introduction back in the mid-1970s, and it's hard to believe that after almost 50 years of service that these HSTs are making their final journeys along the GWR network. I would have seen my first HST, I think around 1977-78 over in Plymouth, and these intercity 125s have transformed perceptions of rail travel, and at the time they arrested the decline in passenger numbers and paved the way for the seemingly constant growth in travel by rail that's now somewhat taken for granted. Like many hundreds of other railway enthusiasts, I'll be taking every opportunity I can to photograph, to film and to travel on these iconic trains as we prepare to say farewell to an old friend here on the railways of Devon and Cornwall. One of the things I always enjoy about staying here is when it gets dark, because the station takes on a whole different look and feel during the hours of darkness. I've headed out onto the platforms to film some trains, and the first up tonight is GWR IET 802-106, which is otherwise known as the Paddington in Peru Express. The station was very busy over a couple of nights between the 20th and 21st of June, with the Hoot to Nanny Fair taking place at nearby Port Elliot estate with artists such as Ollie Murs, Blue, Liberty X, the Sugar Babes and Bewitched all taking to the main stage. As you can hear, spirits were really high and GWR put on extra trains over the 2 nights to take the festival goers home. Great Western Railway's Night Riviera sleeper service runs every night except for Saturdays, and it travels between Penzance and London Paddington, and it usually passes through St Germans Station between 11:30 and 1:15 to midnight. Well, that's what usually happens, except tonight the train has broken down at Liscard Station. It's after midnight, and this rescue engine has been sent from Plymouth's Lara depot to go and rescue the train. It will take about 25 minutes for the rescue engine to reach Liscard Station and to be connected to the stricken train, and it's now well after 1 o'clock in the morning as the train approaches St Germans Station. Well, I've had the most marvellous time staying in this peaceful and charming village, and I've come back down to the quay and to this magnificent viaduct which towers over 100 feet above the River Tiddy. My memories of St Germans stretch back to the early 1980s when I lived on the Rame Peninsula, and I remember when going to the railway station, it was in pretty bad shape back then. The transformation of the railway station site since Lizzie and Dave Stroud bought the station building on the up platform back in 1992 has been truly remarkable. It's easy to see why the Rail Holiday site has won a number of awards over the years, along with its integral role in supporting the local community. Taking a holiday here will make you want to come back for more.